Pipe Network presents.
Well, I mean, in the first episodes of the Langga Speaks podcast, which, by the way, I host with my co-host with my wife, where we talk about, God's message of joy and love through the different people that we talk to, and at the same time, the topic that we discuss, which is usually more for the ones who's on the road to getting married, like pre-marriage stuff, and building a family in a foreign land.
Mainit na diskusyonan,
Masarap na kwentuhan,
malinamnam na usapan,
at nakakagising na balitaktakan.
parang kape lang. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Wea Angeline.
Join us in our conversations at Coffee na Lang Dear Podcast.
On behalf of my guest here in the Rajiv Show, we would like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Rajiv Show, and my guest is an honorary guest. I've been waiting for this collaboration for a very, very long time, and he is one half of my favorite podcast, Langga Speaks podcast, and if you haven't, you got to go check out their episode, and their podcast. It's an amazing episode. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Jeric Defante. Hey Pat, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here.
I hope I didn't butcher any of your. I didn't butcher your name.
No. It's all good.
Awesome.
It is indeed correct on how you pronounced it.
That's a huge honor coming from an Indian guy, because sometimes I butcher a lot of Filipino names.
Well, we do butcher your names more than you can imagine, especially in this part of the world.
At least you're forgiven from my side.
Yeah.
So, before we start this episode, I want to take this back, a time travel back into high school. I want to build a rapport with you. I want to know if you and I were classmates in high school. Who were you in high school, pal?
Well, we haven't known each other yet. Just give me some context. What high school are we in? Are we in an all boys high school? Are we on are we in a Catholic high school? I mean, it depends on what school we are in.
A regular high school. Philippine high school, a regular high school.
Yeah.
Who were you in that?
Like a regular high school. What year are we now, Rajiv? Because you have to give me context here. If it's my first year, I'm very different from my first year and then my fourth year.
Oh really? Okay, let's.
Yeah.
My transitional grade was at the grade 5. So let's take it at grade 5. If you and I were classmates at grade 5, who were you in the classroom setting if you and I were classmates?
I will definitely be one of the political figures of that class, basically making everyone laugh and, kind of convincing them that they have to vote me for a higher office, minimum as a secretary, at least.
Wow. That's interesting. I didn't expect that.
That would be me, someone who would definitely try to make himself heard that I am present in the room, because usually in high school I'm always placed at the last row.
Yeah.
Because just because they wanted me to shut my mouth most of the time.
Really? That means in the category of introverted, extroverted, or inverted for that matter, you're the extroverted kind of, like me, kind of.
But no, I mean, I'm extroverted in a way when I know the people around me.
Yeah.
So in the high school that I grew up in, we were together since elementary, going to high school. So it's in the same school. So basically, I know the same people. But if you place me in a place where I don't know half of the people, you'll usually see me just browsing my phone in the corner.
Really, high school, they allow you to browse
I
phone.
think I'm an extrovert. I don't know how do you define that. I'm an ambivert. They say that. So right. I
Oh,
mean
really?
I tend to just stay home whenever I have time. Most of
Yeah.
the time because I do a lot of being around with people,
Yeah.
and it kind of drains my energy being around with people. I mean, I think I transitioned from that. So I can say that I am a special type of introvert. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know where just the how to explain the whole thing, but yeah, that's me.
But it's interesting. At least you know yourself in that line. You know.
Oh, I don't know myself yet. I'm still discovering it. Well, I know who am I, but in the grand scheme of things, it's an everyday thing to discover who you truly are, right?
Yeah, that's powerful. That's an actually powerful quote. I really want to quote you on.
No, 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 don't call me on that. That's a very big quote.
Yeah, I make.
It's not of service for a lot of people. Don't quote me on that. Maybe later on the show would have a better quote.
I'm gonna keep my ear open for that.
Oh, you better keep your ear open, or else you won't be able to understand what I'm trying to convey.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, okay, let's transition into sing.
So I am in high school. I am in high school right now. Elected as at least the secretary of the class, or let's say sergeant at arms at least.
Yeah.
And then I'm tasked to keep the order in the class. But then I disappoint. I'm the leader of the one who's making everyone noisy at some point in the class.
Yeah.
So how do we go forward then?
That's an interesting question that I've never been asked before. But being tasked as a leader, that's
You are my classmate, so you are my classmate. So what do you do about it, right?
um in my way of knowing myself back then. Uh, uh, I'm usually in high school. If I were to look back, there were times that leadership wasn't my parte, but my forte. But if I was given the task to be a leader, I enjoy more of the powers than than the responsibility itself. So yeah,
Mm.
that's me. That's my character.
You enjoy the power.
Yeah,
You're easily corruptible. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. Back in high school, I could say that. Yeah,
Oh, this is a. I need to tell you to the teacher. Definitely. Okay. Anyway, that's me. Just to if you wanted to know a piece of me, that would be me in high school.
yeah. So I want to take this into. I want to push this forward into life and then look back and reflection. I gotta ask. Podcast. I mentioned podcast, so that's one Pandora's box that I want to open. Um, what led you to doing podcast? I'm curious. I've always wanted to ask you this question.
Mm. Well, I mean, in the first episodes of the Langga Speaks podcast, which, by the way, I host with my co-host with my wife,
Yeah.
where we talk about, God's message of joy and love through the different people that we talk to, and at the same time, the topic that we discuss, which is usually more for the ones who's on the road to getting married, like pre-marriage stuff,
Yeah.
and building a family in a foreign land. But then anyway, it all started with basically my wife and I trying to capture our conversations from work going home, because from work going home is usually, it takes us around 45 to an hour of driving. So, and it's only the time that we have for the both of us. We're parents back then to a wonderful boy named Joseph, and we serve the ministry. We do have a family business on the side, and we do a lot of things. And it is the only time that we can say that it is, the time that is separate from the rest of the things, the plethora of things that we're doing. So it was an opportunity for us to basically have a shared time, and podcasting was one of those. We don't need to dress up, we don't need to kind of fix ourselves, talking about video wise production.
Yeah.
And most of the conversations that we have going back home are really deep conversations that we rarely get to ask with each other in any other time. And so I'm like, you know what? I think we should capture this, and this can be a show. But then the pandemic happened, and that's why it transitioned to what it is now, having other people. But, when we started it, it's more of an outlet, a hobby, something that we can say that it's a shared activity, especially for the men out there. It's very important to have a shared activity when you do get married, because it it develops the intimacy, it keeps the relationship fresh, it keeps the relationship in line with each other. And so it's more of that. And until now, I believe that it still is a shared activity for us first and foremost.
Nice. I love it. I mean, I've never experienced a conversation that was usually from the podcast standpoint. Of course, podcast boomed at the pandemic, but that was more of everybody's outlet. And this is the first time I'm hearing an outlet that connects people together through, it's an interesting.
At least for us. I mean, when we started it, it wasn't really about the pandemic, having an outlet about it. So it just helped that we did have that show already, even before the pandemic happened. I think it's just like we were just advanced for a month, before the whole thing happened. So, but we still continued, not because there is a pandemic, but because we knew that a shared time together as a couple, as busy parents, would allow us to blossom even more.
Interesting. That's an interesting one. I'm going to quote you on that last thing that you said. I forgot what it is, but I'm definitely quoting you on it. You
cannot quote me now because you forgot about it.
But I'll listen to it.
I'm gonna check your materials, but if it's something that I didn't mention and you mention it, I'm gonna strike you on the.
Yeah.
And be like, guys, I didn't say this thing. I mean, like, I don't know. I want to be this guy. I have a record to prove that I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I'm gonna listen to this on the playbacks anyway, so this is gonna be fun. There's a lot of stuff there that really connected. The fact that it brought a couple together, that is something new for me. I'm fresh into a relationship, so maintaining that kind of trust and that unity, it's an interesting thing, and bringing that into the context of conversations that you mentioned. Conversations that are very deep. It's very interesting. It's just interesting. I know I say interesting a lot. It's like a running gag when people know me. I say interesting a lot. I even made a club called the Interesting Club. So, so yeah.
I think it just goes to show how communication can be it's really a foundational part of any relationship. Not only romantic relationship, but also relationship with your family, with your colleagues, with everything that you relate to. Communication is something that you really need to foster in order for you to fully give value to the person you're talking to. It's not just about what's in it for me, but rather, what can I contribute to this person before me that would enhance her life, so that we can, together build value, beyond the two of us. And I think one of the reasons why we're still doing the Langga Speaks podcast is it has evolved to something beyond the two of us.
Yeah.
We saw how it was a source of not only deep conversations, because we as much as possible, we try to keep it deep, but digestible, something that people can relate with, something that would be not only a passion project that matters to us, but rather, how do we serve the people who listen to this, who spend time to listen to us? How can we bring them the message of God's joy and love, which actually is the one that kept this show running until now.
Wow. Wow. I'm blown away. I never expected this out of my guest. And that's powerful. And I love it. I love this conversation. Talking about reflection, in terms of connecting that to what you've mentioned, in terms of bringing.
Reflection. Is this the Mulan song? Who is that girl I see staring straight back at me?
Wow, you got
is that
good
the one?
chops. I
Are
gotta
we talking
admit.
about? Huh?
You got good chops. I'm impressed.
Dude, you should listen more to our podcast. We sing every single episode. After every single episode, we do a karaoke session. So for you guys who wanna listen not to my voice but to my wife's voice, which is very very amazing,
Yeah.
you can listen to us at langaspeaks.com.
I like how smooth you plugged it in there. I just that's I saw it, but I didn't want to comment on it.
You heard it. You should have commented on it.
Yeah, I just didn't want to offend the crowd, if you know what I mean. So yeah, um, going back, connecting this to reflection. We're talking about love and
Okay.
staying connected to love. I want to take it back to how you guys met. What was the story? Who was interested and who initiated the conversation? Who initiated the conversation? Hey, I like you.
Oh,
You like
okay.
me.
Okay,
did
so
that-
I get to talk my part because she's not here.
Yeah.
So whatever I say here, please take it, as a grain of salt. Nothing to be published as taking as truth. No, just kidding. But anyway, we were neither interested in each other. We were friends.
Yeah.
We were friends. We were not in the same circles. I was from the Philippines. She grew up here. But we did have a friendship that kind of blossomed into what it is now. So we were given the gift of time, at least. I think this is something that a lot of people miss nowadays because everyone's rushing into relationships, not going through the season of defining the friendship first before defining the relationship. And so we did have that season of friendship. We didn't see eye to eye most of the time. We didn't really, notice each other. We were busy with other people that we're interested in.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that when you look hard enough, sometimes the person that you're really looking for is just right in front of you. And so that was the case for us. We were in the season of friendship. I saw her and I knew her deeply
Yeah.
to actually fall in love with her, to actually go to the season of courtship to know her more if she can be the mother of my kids.
Wow. I gotta applaud you for that. The fact that you were patient enough. That is one of the toughest things nowadays in relationships that I know of. Is that
Well, she was more patient than I am because she waited for 25 years to have her first boyfriend, which was me.
yeah.
And the amount of sacrifice that I have in a relationship is nothing to compared to the amount of patience that she has put in until now.
Yeah.
It's something that really keeps this family together.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. I gotta admit it. Wow. The- I'm curious now to see her side of the conversation. I'm really curious now. I know I really wanted to book both of you guys, but I'm just curious to hear her side of the story because this is just interesting.
Oh no, it's gonna be a different version. So
Could you give me at least a summary of what you would say if I know you know her very well? What would she practically say in this context? In this question?
she would practically say that I am so blessed to be able to meet Jeric because my husband Jeric is such an amazing guy and is such a humble guy to be able to choose me as his wife. That would be the context of all of it.
That sounds like a Miss Universe thing timer. That's how I hear it. It's like those questions in Miss Universe where you have 20 seconds to answer. That's how I hear it though. But I'm surprised you know the script.
I'll leave it to her, and for all of the listeners who are interested in knowing her part, it's going to be spread out
Yeah.
through the whole 133 episodes that we have published
Yeah.
in Langga Speaks. And so might as well hear her straight from her
From the source.
instead of me representing her. For sure, no one's gonna believe whatever I'm saying, speaking in behalf of my wife. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So yeah, wow. I love this conversation, pal. It's just mind blowing. And it's a huge honor. The fact that my mic is malfunctioning just to hear my voice be heard is it's just interesting because this
Yeah, I hear a
happened
lot of
twice.
static.
Yeah, because this happened twice. I had a conversation with Jay Aruga, but that's his show. No, that's my episode earlier on. So yeah, this this one is also this is really interesting. So yeah, reflection. I gotta ask. Are you mentioned that you're very deep thinking, especially in terms of the word love and marriage. I gotta ask, what philosophy do you live by on an everyday basis that reminds you, hey,
Did I say I was a deep thinker on that? I didn't recall that I was a deep thinker.
no, but you said
He didn't say it.
you said that you have deep conversations with your wife about things, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I have deep conversations with her, which we try and kind of make it light as well in the podcast.
Yeah.
So my philosophy in what
In relationship or in
Sorry.
life in general.
I live by a very popular verse. Just to sum it up, it's a very vague question. It's a very wide question that can lead to a lot of channels.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that really anchors me to where I am, may it be in family, may it be on relationships, may it be in the business, in career, in what I'm doing now, content creation. I think it's all. I'm Catholic. I mean, I'm a Catholic Christian, so it's all rooted on the particular verse in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, when he said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." So in everything that I do, it's about putting God first. It's about consulting Him and not just asking Him when everything is messy, when everything is just down the drain. And when you do that, when I do that in my life, every time I do that, everything seems to line up pretty well. Whether it's a failure, whether it's a success, but the moment you seek God in everything that you do and you put Him first, then all of the things will just be glitter, just a topping on the cake of life.
Wow. Wow. I don't know how to follow up a question on that because that's just powerful. You just brought it to light and it's powerful. And I'm sure the listeners are
I mean,
inspired.
for sure, not all listeners have that relationship. It's a journey. Life, faith is a journey. So if you do not have that relationship yet with God, on how you see Him, maybe take it or give it a try. It's not like it's something that you buy and you can't return. Everyone has the freedom to discover that themselves.
Yeah.
But God leaves the choice to us. He's not the type of God who goes down and, hey, you worship me, what?
Yeah.
Worship me or else this will happen. That's not the God that we worship. Our God is someone who wants to be intimate with us. So in the same way, to be able to translate that in my relationships, it's a simple prayer that I do every day. Lord, allow me to love you more so that the overflow of my love for you can be given to the people around me. Because I cannot love them more than you do. So that's the principle I live by. And as you grow older, I'm not that old. I'm 33, but as I progress in life, when I was still in high school or in college, I was pursuing, titles like what you said. You were into the power of being a leader.
Yeah.
I was into, building my net worth, making sure that I know the success principles of life. I mean, going from seminar to seminar, books by books. But then you progress in life and you discover that life can be simple, especially in what happened in the pandemic. It showed us what truly matters. Relationships is what truly matters. Because no matter what happens at the end of your life, if you don't have the relationships to support you, more so a relationship with someone like God, I believe that God is the only one who can give you the full desires of your heart. We all have a God-shaped tool, kumbaga,
Yeah.
sa ating puso. And so it is only God who can fill that up. That's how I see life. And to simplify it into to Matthew chapter 6 verse 33, to seek him first in everything makes life a bit, easier to walk on.
Wow. I love it. I love this. I love this conversation. Before I forget, by the way, pal, we mentioned your partner. We just want to shout out to her if she's tuning into this episode. I forgot about that. I know we've been talking about you, and we forgot the other half. Shout out to her if she's listening to this episode. Uh, but yeah, I gotta come back to the conversation. It's powerful, and I can feel the energy and the vibe and your knowledge, and I love it. I love the passion that
Thank you.
you speak of, and you are a powerful speaker. I gotta admit, this this is one mind blowing conversation for me because with a calm voice, still you have a lot of energy and a lot of wisdom to share. And I love it.
Oh, yun. And the secret to it, you want to know the secret to
Yeah.
it? The only secret to it is you have a good lunch. That's it. Before you hit record, make sure you eat well. Then the wisdom of the Lord will be with you.
I didn't expect that. I thought it was gonna be some secret sauce or something. And
There is no secret. Usually, most of the time, when people say that they have the secret to success, you have to enroll in a course for you to know to find
Yeah.
out that there is no secret to success. So, just a spoiler for everyone there.
yeah, but I was expecting secret sauce. I thought it was gonna be a KFC combination mix or something. Wow, I'm actually hungry right now.
That would be definitely not something that I would share to our listeners here.
Text it to me.
You find your secret sauce.
Text me your ingredients. Let me experiment.
And definitely a bit of masala and everything that would make everything nice.
Yeah, masala makes everything nice. Coming from an Indian, I'm impressed. Masala. What else? What else? I'm a little bit starving.
Acha man. Acha.
I love this conversation, pal. This is just killer for me. It's sad that I have to cut it off because I cut it short because of the timer here with Zoom.
Yes.
But before I go,
Oh, yeah.
before
No
before we
problem.
cut this episode, I wanna say thank you first of all. But before I say thank you again,
No problem.
of course, my listeners would love to connect with you via social media, pal. How would they find you on social media, pal?
Well, you will find me and know that I am in Dubai if you go to langaspeaks.com. Everything you will find there. We are in socials at Langaspeaks in IG and FB. Or basically just visit our website, langaspeaks.com. We are also certified saving your marriage before it starts facilitators. So we can talk about, pre-marriage if you want to save it before it even begins. And the noise that you're hearing right now is my son telling me that I am way beyond my time limit.
Yeah.
But thank you for all of those who are listening here. I don't know how many you are, but please do visit our show. We hope that you can listen and tune in with
Yeah.
us.
I want to say thank you, pal. Thank you so much for the opportunity to answer my call. I know it's been a long time since I booked you, and we've been talking over at Twitter, and I'm glad that we connected and we made this happen. So I want to huge thank you, shout out, and major respects to you and your projects, and yeah, and everything else in between that I missed out.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me here as well.
So yeah, and with that in mind, for those who are tuning, cheers, folks, and I will see you in the next episode.